Hey guys, welcome to the Orion Yu-Gi-Oh podcast. I'm Dempsey and I'm here with Jordan. We're both members of Team Orion. Thanks for joining in today. We've got a slight change with the original plan. One of the guests has had to drop out due to travelling conflicts, but luckily our other guest has agreed to join us through near enough the whole thing. And I'm here with Jordan. We're both members of Team Orion. Thanks for joining in today.
Just want to let you all know that there is a giveaway going on today. So at the end of the podcast, we will be doing a crossover bakers booster box going. So all you need to do to enter that is like, comment, and subscribe. And the winner will be chosen afterwards through a spin wheel.
Yeah, that will be chosen within the next, I think Drew said it will be the next 24 to 48 hours. The spin wheel program he was using wasn't playing ball, so he will find a different one to use. So before we carry on, we will introduce our special guest. People know him as a previous UK champion for nationals, and recently he's won a regionals as well. So we'll get him on now.
Hello, thanks for having me. My name's Ben Sherman, as you probably guessed. I've been around the block for many years. I'm an old man now, but still got it.
Yeah, so we're very privileged to have you on, especially have you change what was going on because you weren't supposed to be on till the second half, but you've agreed to join us through the whole thing, which is nice. Got a lot of topics to go through with the UK YCS coming up, the new decks that have just come out. We've had a ban list recently as well, so we've got lots of stuff to chat about and get your opinions on.
Yeah. Before we go any further, I do want to have a quick shout out to our main sponsor, Gecko Cards. As you might already know, we don't just sponsor by them, we actually use them for any of our products that we use. So if you do want to get yourself a nice booster box, some sleeves, or even just a new binder, please go to their website and use Orion 5 at discount and get yourself a nice 5% off.
Yeah, lovely. So first of all, we will talk about the ban list. That's the main thing I want to cover first and get that out of the way before we get onto the good stuff. Not much was hit really. I understand that Snake Eye got the biggest hit.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to see that as much as we did do previously. And I know Drew's a bit upset with Gimmick Puppet, but I'm sure he's got something else cooking that he's going to be using instead.
Probably Ido.
Yeah, Ido, or, well, I know that he has got the Rizal deck now, but knowing Drew, he'll definitely be back to branded sooner or later. Was there any other changes that either of you two thought were rather significant?
Yeah, Ubel getting a buff.
Yeah, a nerf buff.
Yeah, lose 2 Phantoms but get Spirit Gates back. So another 1-card starter that's an extender. Makes the deck massively stronger.
Yeah.
And what do you think, Ben?
Yeah, it was definitely a buff. So consistency buffs are always going to be rather important. I do prefer power nerfs, but only putting Ubel, that Phantom of Ubel to 1 isn't exactly a power nerf, because you lose 1 less material. That's it. Throughout the entire combo, they just lose 1 material, which they can gain through any other means. The throne will gives them another card if they need it. They've got multiple ways to do it with the Yammer if they need to use it. So they just use 1 less material, but they're still able to end on the same end board, which was kind of a problem last format.
Yeah, so they've got Phantom sticking around as protection, and with the Spirit Gates being at 3 again, they can use that to extend where Phantom would have done originally anyway.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
I think they should have just banned Aerial Eater, to be honest, and then would have been fine.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I was surprised there was no Fiendsmith hits.
I'm very happy with it. I really like the engine. I think it's
why.
just a great engine to be used and everything. It's actually kind of fair. It's very strong, but it's fair because pretty much every deck can use it. It's universal.
And there's a lot of places where you can interrupt it as well.
Yeah, of course. And Ash can hurt it quite well. It's somewhat vulnerable to Bestials and DD Crows, that sort of thing. But it's just a solid, strong engine that pretty much most decks can use, unless they're very xenophobic. The original hit was the best hit, and people are crying because they can't play the Rescue Ace decks anymore, but that deck's been around. It can go away now. No one wants to play against Turbulence Set 4. Thanks for coming. The original was the best hit because it unlinks the wanted engine to Snake Eye, which cuts off, I think it was 9 extenders or 9 starters, extenders, maybe 10. And it doesn't hinder a deck which we're all looking forward to next set, which is the continuation of the White Forest support with White Forest and Azamina joining forces, which I'm looking forward to. I will say that in Supreme Darkness.
Yeah, we know that you're looking forward to talking about that again a bit later as well with the upcoming format. Speaking of the formats, the current format has just dramatically changed with the release of Crossover Breakers, Rizal and Malice being the top two. I know there was a third archetype in there, I can never pronounce it.
Ryuga.
Ryuga. And I've seen some things with it, like in Dinomorphia and generic dinosaur stuff as well, but compared to the other two, it's just shadowed. I know I'm personally a Malice fan, as is Jordan, as is Ben. Looking at his regional winning list, do you want to take us through some of your thoughts of when you were building your deck for that? Because I know a lot of people are raving about the Striker version, and you went with the Fiendsmith version.
So I originally approached it from a standpoint of Pure. So I tried Pure with like 20 odd hand traps, and it just can't compete this format. I went 2-2 at locals, which is actually a travesty. Pure is just not the way. It needs a supplementary engine. The Striker is okay because it does fill the void of giving you link materials which you need to access your link 3s. It gives you removal and interruption for like things like Afterburners and Widow Anchor. It can give you draws with Engage, which is kind of cool. But the issue I have with it, you make Kagari, you get your token, you get your Hornet drones back. You know, you play Hornet drones, you've got Kagari and a token, but there's no substance there. And that's what I wanted. I wanted substance from it. Whereas if you go Engraver, you know, you get your Tract, you get your Lurie, Lacrima, Engraver, bring the Engraver back. You can threaten Caesar, you can threaten Sequences, Desiree, you can threaten. You make Necroquip and you go into SP, you can threaten Engraver to remove a card. You've got like 4 or 5 different options and you've not played one card. As well as that, you can access it through the combo as well, whereas Striker is just sort of a standalone engine. If you're playing, you use your Chessy Cat mid combo, you draw into your Engage, like, well, this is dead now. Can't do anything with that. If you draw a Tractor and Engraver, they're always live. It threatens so many more things. And when you access it in the combo, you set up the Fiendsmith Paradise, so it gives you another interrupt, which is very clutch as well. It gives you bodies to protect. It's just a very, very strong engine, I think. I get why people haven't tried it, because the people are really clinging onto this idea that Shifter is the best card in the game, which it should be banned, but at the moment it's not as good as people think it is.
No, I know you have recently uploaded a deck profile to your YouTube channel, which there will be a link when this is uploaded to YouTube as a standalone video as well, but that is Pulsar Games. You do a bit of a combo showcase at the end where you do show how a Dormouse can bridge into the Fiendsmith, then back into Malice. I know I spoke to you, you gave me a bit of advice on the deck through Messenger over the past week or so, and just explaining that Fiendsmith, you can eat up 2 or 3 hand traps before you even start playing your Malice stuff. So then you're getting your full Malice end board, full Malice interruptions, without worrying about any hand traps in between, which I think is fantastic. And if they don't hand trap you, like you said, you've got a Desiree or a Caesar or whatever you're thinking you're going to need at that time. I just think it's a really strong end board to sit with. I do see the Striker variants doing well though, especially against Rizal.
It's good going second into Rizal, only because of Widow Anchor.
Yeah, having a imperm that you can search, it is strong. But again, I think we were talking about this before. It is very good against Rizal, but there is a lot more decks still floating about where it might not necessarily be as good. I want to be imperming. If I'm going second, I want to be imperming from my hand to interrupt them while they're going first. I understand using it to stop something like that, but yeah, just being able to use the imperm as an imperm itself rather than Widow Anchor as a pseudo imperm. It's just my point of view though.
Yeah, well, it's the way I see it is the Striker version's really good for extension. It's really good for when you're going second specifically against Rizal. But if you're against Ubel, like we were mentioning earlier, you're screwed if you don't have enough interruption.
Yeah, I agree completely.
I will say though, looking at your list, Ben, you're not playing Agumde. Is that something you've considered?
I did look at Agnum Day. It's kind of weird because it's only useful if you can actually make the Desiree, which you can only do if you open Tractor or Engraver. You know, makes sense because as soon as you activate a Banish Malice monster, then you just get link locked, so you never able to actually make it. It's interesting, but it does mean the Interrupted Fiendsmith from Paradise is less potent because you've already gone through the Desiree, unless you're just a Chad and play 2, but I don't know about that one, Chief. One cool thing I've actually done sometimes as well is you can use Lacrima to dump the Fiends from Paradise, and then you can reset it with Griffin if you do make Desiree, which is really funny. It's kind of rude, but it's very funny. There's loads of like cool things like that you can do in the deck. I do want to mess about with Agnum Day because the ability to, use the Desiree and then use it as material straight away rather than being forced to leave it on the field, and then you can bring it back on your opponent's turn. And even if they clear the Agnum Day, it doesn't matter if they nib you because you've got Lacrima into Agnum Day into Desiree. But you may need one more body for that, so you will probably need to start Engraver rather than Tracked for that to actually work.
Then you can still use the Malice extenders like Underground to get that extra body on board. I know I personally haven't tried the Ryziel deck myself. Drew and me did a lot of testing a few days ago. He's got the Ryziel deck, I was on Malice, and we did a lot of games. I know you've not really tried the Ryziel yourself.
No, I did play it when it first came out.
You did play it when it came out. What about you, Ben? Have you give Ryziel a go yourself or just tested?
I've not played it, but I've seen it play a lot with some of my teammates. I've been watching their games, observing, and then talking about them while we play. And seeing how it's evolved over time, the Fiendsmith Ryziel version, obviously being the most predominant version now, as it is strongest. Some could argue Pure is better against Malice, but it depends on shifter and other factors.
Yeah,
it's very strong. I really like the play with you do the Agnum Day play like you do, but because you use Detonator to attach the Desiree to it. I really like that play. It's really cute because then you can detach it off Detonator, pop a card, and you send another card, and then you can Lacrima for Agnum Day, bring that back for Desiree. It's just so much layered interruption, so it gives you so much more than Pure would give you just through a plug-in. That's the only other card you'd get, really.
Yeah.
So
it's another deck where there's quite a few variants floating around. That's why I'm very looking forward to this current meta we're in. I know it's only a few decks, but it is looking to be a nice format we've got currently. We've got a question in chat.
Can you play Malice without Fiendsmith? I doubt I will be getting the engine, but I want to play Sky Striker Malice.
Yeah, of course. The Sky Striker Malice has been very popular and very successful as well. There's only been a few people actually playing the Fiendsmith Malice variant, so it's yet to be fully tested at the higher levels. Sky Striker, it's very popular. It's doing really well. The Striker engine is relatively cheap, easy to pick up, and it's still very, very strong. You will, because you're allowed to play things like Allure Darkness Engage, you're just going to filter right through your deck. You're just going to draw all these good non-engine cards, your Talents, Thrust, all these other cards, and you'll have quite a lot of good success with that.
Yeah. So apart from those decks, this format, we've still got stuff going around like Labyrinth, Mermail. I've seen quite a bit of. I've seen people, not myself, which I'm surprised at, still clinging onto Ritual Beast. Yeah. It like I said before, it is looking to be a really good format. So, is there any other decks that you're still happy to see going about?
Happy to see or expecting to see? A bit of a difference there.
Happy to see first. Like, I know you're on Malice. I know you're a big fan of White Forest. There's someone at our locals that's still on White Forest.
I mean, that's really cool to see. Mermail's always fun, but it's kind of scary to go against because it's sort of a very much a glass cannon deck. They either have it or they don't. And that could be a reason to play things like Drawing Shifter, but then you're playing cards that are not good into the top end of the meta, just not auto lose to Mermail because you lost the die roll.
Yeah.
But I've got a bit of experience with Mermail as it happens.
Yeah, I personally am going to ask you about that later on because I think that year was the year after I originally stopped playing. Mermail had just come out. I got hold of some of the stuff, and that's when I started moving and changing job and everything, and I just stepped away from the game.
I mean, when I originally stopped, Hieratics had just come out.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Mermail was a bit after that.
Yeah, so much to my wife's pleasure, I've picked the game back up again, and as she's told me, I'm having a mild midlife crisis, but I'm enjoying it. She's very supportive. It's turned out quite well. So, other decks in the format, anything that you're expecting might crop up later in the format?
Yes, Ubel still sadly is around, which it is what it is. It demands a lot of responses. You need to hand drop it, which is kind of annoying because it's very hard to break unless you have these really, really powerful cards like Dark Ruler and things. I think Dark Ruler is just the one specifically. Droplet doesn't even work half the time. As you know, they'll probably trigger the Phantom of UL first, which troops across through, navigates around the droplet. I did play against Tenpai in the regional as well, and I enjoyed that match. Usually you don't have a good time versus Tenpai, but with it's sort of weakened state now, it's sort of this mini grind game until they get to the point where they can OTK you, rather than just slamming down their entire hand, clicking left to right. They actually, they need to navigate over a couple of turns and then go through things like seals to actually access the engine, and then they can play trap cards and other non-engines to try and grind it out until they can slam a Tundra down. So it's quite interesting.
It's giving you a chance to set a board up now before they try and just go for the OTK.
Yeah.
A few more questions from chat. Back onto Malice. What are your thoughts on Regained and Bestial Malice variants? I'm guessing they mean having Labellion in main.
Yeah, so I thought about that, and a friend of mine did try it. It's very fun, and it's brilliant in the mirror because obviously, if it's your opponent's turn, they chain it 1, banish Malice, you chain it 2, Regained, shuffles it back, you draw a card. It's nuts. However, I feel like having 3 Labellions and a Regained in your deck, and you lose the die roll, you're just in a worse position.
Yeah.
Because the normal Bestials are fine because they're still useful going second. Obviously, they're better as extenders, but against Fiendsmith cards, it just checks it. Even against things like Ryziel, if they're just playing pure, you can check things like the aggregator to stop them getting the reattach, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
It gives you 1 less interrupt on your turn. It's very cool, and if you've got other non-engine that you can use, maybe more hand traps, then they could work definitely.
Yeah, and the other Malice variant is
Kashtera.
the Kashtera variant. Did you think of trying that at all?
Yes, I wanted to actually play that alongside the Fiendsmith cards in the variant I'm playing. But the only issue I have with it is you either draw them or you don't. That's it. you either open, Unicorn Ephemera, you just don't see the engine at all. And it's the same similar principle with Sky Strike, whereas if you draw it mid combo through Chessie, White Bind, or what have you, you can't use it. It's just in your hand. It's just a brick.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Ephemera is really good versus a detonator, though.
We have had another question for you. When are you going to bring back Mermal so you can show people who's boss?
I don't know. He's just won a regional, so I think he is still showing people who's boss.
Well, I know it's not my question.
No, I do have a few water combos on my channel as well that people might find. I've always been trying to do stupid hand loops and ruin people's day. But post Supreme Darkness, we do get a few more cards, which really will actually elevate the power level a bit more. It gives it
the new Poseidra for one.
Really good.
Yeah,
gives it more going second tools, which is what it needs.
Yeah.
And the trap's actually really cool. It can draws 2 to 3 cards, so it's kind of neat.
Yeah. So again, the regional that you've just won, we know that you played against Tenpai. Did you say a mirror match?
Yeah, 2 mirror matches. Played
2 mirror
against
matches.
Bell, a Labyrinth, Fiendsmith Ryziel, and I don't know if that's 7. It might be 2 mirror match, 2 Ubel, Tenpai, Fiendsmith Ryziel, and Lab. Yeah, that's 7. It was only 7 rounds. So.
And were you very confident going into the tournament from the start, or was it one where you thought, I'll see how I'd get on, and then the confidence kind of carried on building?
Oh no, I was pretty confident in my list. I did end up changing something last second. Literally, as we sat down in the venue, I'm literally scribbling out on my deck list, but it was just to increase the numbers of the Fiendsmith cards, but I couldn't find a third track at times.
I think you mentioned that in the video, don't you?
Code of Soul. Added another Bestial and then the Terraforming, so it's just more range. It's just the same cards, but just better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I was very confident, despite losing game 1 of round 1. That was not ideal. But you go in second against Ubel. I have 0 interrupts. My hand is like 2 Engravers, a Lacrima. What else did I have? I had Call the Haunted, MTPO7, and I draw a Druid's for turn. And it was the Druid's for turn. I was like, now I have to try and break your board. Broke the board, even though I had everything, just because the Fiendsmith cards are just broken. And I actually lost that game because he plays 3 Nightmare Pain. And did you know? My Tesseract can only negate 2 of those. He's got 3.
No,
he just goes attack, and I lose.
3 Nightmare Pain.
Yeah, game 2 again. I only see just Fiendsmith cards. I win that game. Game 3 was really fun because he mixed Phantom, tributes Lotus for Spirit, I Imperm, so just passes. I'm like, cool, normal Chessie Cat, and then he goes sort of inside out because he's not seen the Malice cards.
I think you mentioned this to me. Is this the match where the guy didn't actually know you were playing Malice until game 3?
Nothing but Fiendsmith cards in the first 2 games.
Yeah, that's how powerful the Fiendsmith engine can be. It can just
it can just carry you because of how many options it gives you. It's really cool. I'm a big fan of the engine. But a lot of people were very confused. Anything I would change is I want to play a third tract just to open the engine even more. So I'd probably cut a terraforming for a tract, and that's probably it, I think, over the list. The list was quite nice. Maybe drop Splash Mage, but it has come up once since then. So I could potentially still play Splash Mage, but
I think that's another one that you mentioned on your channel, that you didn't use Splash Mage and you were thinking of cutting it, and that really shocked me because a lot of the people I speak to have said how Splash Mage is carried through hand traps, but they're not on the Fiendsmith engine. So, like I said earlier, the Fiendsmith engine eats your opponent's hand traps for you, so you can go full Malice without needing the extra bits of support.
yeah, the primary reason as well for me not making the Splash Mage is my end board is not a terahertz. I'm focusing on just making a Griffin.
Yeah.
I wanted to have things like Griffin, MTPO7, and maybe like an Imperm or something. I wanted interrupts that are not going to trigger my opponent's thrust and talents. So I've got 1, 2, maybe 3 interrupts, and well, you can say Griffin's an interrupt. It just sits there. They can't do anything. They can't break it with just Fiendsmith either, which is the important thing because they don't have enough zones to actually use the engraver to pop it or anything.
Yeah. Another question for Ben. Edison or GOAT?
2014.
2014. Perfect. There you go. If anyone from the big dogs are listening, there's a new format to have as side events.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool formats. It just needs a few more people, but I think either Dragon Rulers or 2014 like Euros sort of format, Euros or NAWCQ format, that'll be quite fun. So hat format, people call it.
Yeah.
That might be the next one for people to watch out for.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Which was your hardest matchup of the day?
It would have been round 6 against Ubel. It's always really hard going second against that deck, and obviously where I go second, he just has everything. I just can't crack it with just normal summons. Game 3, I do manage to go first. I set up and he almost cracks the board. It was very close.
No.
He actually almost cracked it because that deck is very scary.
Was that
Pushes.
was that he just didn't have the last few cards he needed, or was there any slight misplays that you saw?
No, he played it really well. So he forced me to play into talents. So he took my Griffin, which makes a lot of his engine much better. And then the last card in hand was an Iberi, which I assume he drew for turn. So it's kind of unfortunate on his behalf. And I had a steal as well, which helped. It was a Ball Drake specifically, so it let me clear a Necroquip, so we couldn't get into things like SP, which is very huge. Yeah, that was probably the hardest one.
And is there any other matchups that you actually fear?
Fear, not so much. I was testing the mirror quite a lot though, and it's very, very who goes first pre-side. Post-side is different because you've got floodgates through things like Lancia. But pre-side, I think I won once going second over the course of 10, 15 game ones. It was just whoever went first won. So that's something that I need to look into.
Yeah. Another question from Drew himself. Why did you pick Malice over Ryziel? I think I know the answer to this one before you answer it, but I'll let you take it away anyway.
Right, before you say it's not because it's all girls, right?
No. I have seen what you play through Discord, but no, it's not that.
It just has a lot more it can do. It has a much higher ceiling. Ryziel just feels, I don't know, it's very, very linear. Even with the Fiendsmith cards, it feels very linear. Whereas once you remove Malice from the idea of it, you must play Cybers, you can just expand so much further out. Because that's the thing with Splash Mage. I'm a Splash Mage, and then I need to go Transcode. You don't play Transcode, it's bad. Because it locks you out of Lizardos and things. But you go like Splash Mage, I must play Access Code Talker because I need to OTK. But the deck's an OTK machine. You don't need things like Access Code. But people are just, I don't know, still focused on it is a Cybers deck. But it just has a lot more options, I feel. Being able to play things like Allure of Darkness as well is very cool. That's an engine card. Being able to play like striker cards, cash cards, you can just play it however you want.
Lovely. And it's a heavy combo deck, which I know you thrive with. Yeah.
I mean, I've had success with True Draco in the past, so don't go out all out on combo. True Draco was a combo. I played it as a combo deck. And same with every deck I played, like Trap Tricks. I was like, it's a trap deck. Nope, it's a combo deck. Hiding.
Another few questions. What deck feels like the biggest threat to Malice?
That's a really good question. I can't actually. Probably just the mirror match, if anything.
I think
'Cause,
that'll be discovered as the format continues.
Yeah. Even things like stun decks you don't actually care about. So if you go against, say, Runic Stun, they've got 5 floodgates, you can just sit there and eventually you'll be able to tract into a Desiree. You just sit on it and then you'll have Fiendsmith Paradise, and Fiendsmith Paradise will wipe the board. So you've got answers to everything. Just
Yeah.
in your main. Like, that's another thing I've always liked to do as a deck that can answer pretty much everything in the main deck. You got Lightning Dark Chaos Angel, I've got MTP07. You've got a load of floodgates, I've got Fiendsmith Paradise. I don't know, you name a card and I've probably got an answer to it. Except like actually no, the Raid Raps I do, because Hearts of Crypto becomes like 5k up to 8-6, so you can just go smack. So pretty much everything you've got answers to.
Sometimes people forget that just having a higher attack can
Just
break the board.
Yes.
Yeah, the biggest stick in the playground.
Yeah.
Would you agree that Malice has a pretty bad game going second? Like, into most boards, it's difficult to break stuff.
Pure, yes, because you're most likely just got hand traps. And if your hand traps aren't going to do it, or if you just draw nothing but names, you're going to have a bad time because you're very normal summon reliant if you don't have extenders like Field Spell or Gold Sarcophagus. Hence why I'm playing it with the Fiendsmith. It gives you so much more agency going second. You can make Engraver. You can use the Engraver to send a card, or it forces out a play. You can make Necroquip, and then you can just maybe get into an SP. Going second against Labyrinth, which typically is a harder matchup to go second against. They went through Lovely and a pop, and I go Sequence, I make Desiree. They're obviously waiting for me to try and equip or to make a link play or something, or do something to out this Desiree. Instead, I just go straight into SP, challenge the Lovely. Desiree deals with a back row, and it just clears the entire board. I don't need to, win that turn because you just want to outgrind Labyrinth. If you can clear all the all the furniture, you're just gonna have a good time. And White Binder is a triple DD grow, so it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Fiendsmith just adds a lot to it for going second.
Yeah.
Plus, I've got some more coming in for you. What hand traps would you consider best instead of Charmies if you do not own them?
That's fair. Charmies, while obviously very good, they're not. I wouldn't say they are mandatory. Dominus Impulse is probably one of the best hand traps at the moment, but again, it's a bit more of a higher budget level card. Ash is always good. Imperm is always good. Belly's actually quite strong right now as well, specifically against pure Ryziel, as it can deal with the cross. No, sorry, not the cross, the plugin. It can also deal with Fiendsmith cards. Bell has a lot of crossover with Malice as well, so you can use to stop the field spell, which is always nice. You can use it to stop White Binder. Ash on White Binder as well, if it's banished and you use it there. Dominus Purge as well, if you can play that card's really good. So there are quite a few options. You've just got to figure out what you can play. And if you want to play things like Nibiru as well, you can just play a lot more hand traps like the Veilers, DD Crows, maybe not Crows, Bestials are probably better, but you can just play a lot more things.
I've been a really big fan of Ogre and Droll against Ryzel specifically.
I've not found Droll to be that great, unless they start specifically Bonfire into Ice. Can Bonfire get Ice? I think it can. I think it's a Pyro. That's how little I've actually looked at these Ryzel cards. But anyway, if they start specifically Bonfire into Ice, but then they still end on Detonator. So I don't see how the Droll gets enough value out of it.
Yeah.
And so
They're just missing the field spell, aren't they? And that's it.
Yeah. And against Malice, Droll is really, really poor. It stops just the draws, but they're still going to end on everything else. They can still end on everything else they want. That's kind of the issue I have with Droll. Paired, it's okay, and going first, Droll is obviously a lot better. Same with Nibiru. If you go first and you have a Nibiru, you're going to have a much better time than going second, which seems a bit weird, but I don't know. They've got to push through your board, and then you drop a rock on them, and then they have a bad time.
I think everyone has a bad time when that guy comes down, especially if he's successful.
What about Ogre?
Ogre's kind of a weird one.
Detonator.
Yeah, Ogre's kind of a weird one. So obviously Detonator can just protect itself, so that's kind of a non-issue. Ryziel, a lot of the time with Duo Drive is they'll make another rank 4 first. Sometimes they'll make a Dagaris play. Sometimes they're making Star Liege, which is kind of cool to play around Veilers and Imperms. Ogre on Duo can be quite nice. However, they still have a Detonator. So you're trading an Ogre for a field spell effectively.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. And if they do set up Fiends for stuff first, then they're going to have a lot regardless. Ogre might see more play post Supreme Darkness though, but we'll see.
Yeah. So I know we've spoke a lot about your regional win. Congratulations again on that.
Thank you.
So, upcoming events. I know that the big one on everyone's radar is the YCS in
Birmingham.
in Birmingham. So, is there, apart from testing constantly, is there anything else you're doing to prepare yourself for that event?
Yeah, just trying to sort out all the arrangements, things you need, travel, accommodation. If you sort that out much ahead of time, then that relieves one stress point, because a lot of people do like to leave things last minute. But if you sort that ahead of time, much easier. You know who you're going to stay with, you know where, you know what you're going to plan to do. You need to know what you're going to play, what you're going to play against, and then even little things like a bit close to the event, like just making sure you've always got water on you, or maybe a sandwich or something, so you're always fed and you don't need to drink and stuff.
Yeah.
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 Well, I always say that you should always get fresh sleeves as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure you know a great place to get some fresh leaves, actually.
Yeah, Gecko cards.
Gecko cards, and remember your 5% off code.
Yeah, Orion 5.
Orion 5. So, other stuff for the YCS. Are you locked down with the deck that you're playing, or is it still?
No, not at all.
No, not at the minute.
I really need to look ahead at Supreme Darkness, and I'm one of those. I tend to wait until the deck sets out or almost out before I start testing things.
I was about to say nothing else is coming out before then, but yeah, Supreme Darkness will be out by then, won't they?
Yeah, so that's going to shake things up a bit. And we also need to see how the format progresses before then. We've got roughly about a month before we need to seriously look into it.
Yeah.
So we can see, based on regionals, how the decks are going to transform over the current month, or the coming month, I should say, because they're not going to stay the same. No matter what you say, Feeds with Rise might not be the best version. There might be another version of it. Feeds with Malice be the best version. Might be a better version of that.
Well, there's two other decks that are on your radar already that you've mentioned. You've got your White Forest and your Mermail that are both getting some nice cards in that set.
Getting some good support. I will say now, I'm like maybe 1% taking Mermail to the YCS, sadly.
What about Mermail or Fiendsmith?
No, unfortunately, Mermail cards do waterlock you.
Yeah.
You play those. The biggest issue for me is Ryziel being a very represented deck, and they can just slam a Dweller down, and you're like, all right, safe. Thanks for coming. I'll just just stand up now, sign the slip, walk off. White Forest is going to be an interesting one, because I was really enjoying Snake Eyes Arena last format, despite what many people might think. But the deck was very cool with how it functioned, how you could put stuff into the back row and then you could fire it off with Ash or whatever. But now I'm still able to play those Sinful and Azamina cards, which are very strong.
Yeah,
it's going to be very fun to mess about with. So it's probably between the two, I'd say White Forest and Malice.
Well, speaking of Suda, we get a new Abu, or whatever. The new like.
Oh yeah, Abawachi.
Yeah, is that something you'd consider for Malice or White Forest?
Yeah, it's something I'll definitely play. It's going to be a really nice QCR, I will say that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know somewhere where you can get good singles from as well.
I do actually. We'll fire that one off a little later. There is a sale going on as well at the moment. We'll fire that one off later, and people can look forward to getting those discount codes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be a really cool Link 4. We also have the new TCG exclusive archetype in Supreme Darkness.
Is that the reptile ritual one?
The reptile ritual thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. And there's a guy at my locals that builds every single TCG exclusive deck. He just got sort of beat. Was what was it? It was just a happenstance. He just coincidence that he just started making them, and now it's become a ritual. Or it will be a ritual in the next one.
Yeah.
It's just become a tradition now. He always builds them, so it's always good to actually see what it can do, because there's always going to be someone that will build it.
I've already seen some stuff floating about with Ogdoatic, is it pronounced?
Snake,
Reign of Snakes and all that stuff.
Yeah, they've also got the Ragnarikers as well.
Yeah, the Ragnarikers. There's quite a bit of reptile stuff now looking back at it.
Yeah. Well, one cool thing about that is it ritual summons from the deck.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
And the only thing that I can remember that's sort of similar was the Megalith. That ritual from the deck, or it was used the materials from the deck. It was similar anyway.
I think that was materials.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's searched and ritualed up.
Yeah, ritual in the deck is quite interesting. It does solve the problem of rituals.
Another question from chat, and then we've got some questions that were sent in to us earlier. So, Ben. Oh, here we go. The Ignister support and Malice. What are your opinions on that?
Unfortunately, I don't have an opinion because I've not looked at it yet. So that's
No?
my opinion.
Perfectly understandable.
That's fine. That's fine.
I'm going to wait
From
till
what
it's a bit closer to being out, and then I'll look at it a bit more in depth. But from what I've heard very good things. I've heard it elevates the deck a lot more.
Yeah.
From the little I've looked at, the backup Secretary and Wizard, they had a lot of like starters to the deck, which
Yeah.
solved some of the consistency issues.
Well, we're getting some more Malice cards as well that hopefully do solve the consistency issues there themselves.
Yeah, we should
Wait and see.
see some more Malice cards at some point. It'd be very weird if they don't support it, but we're just waiting for. I think they're still doing Alliance Insight reveals, so we might see some more Malice cards in there. Who knows?
I'm heavily expecting something.
It'd be nice.
We did get we do get Template Skipper in Suda, which
Okay,
I'm
that's
personally not a big fan of, but a lot of
Another-
people have been talking about that.
It's another card I've not seen. Again, I've really not looked at the set.
No, it special summons itself to a arrow that a Sideburst monster points to, and then it can banish a monster from the grave, and then it becomes that monster. on the
Oh,
field.
yeah, I've seen that card now. Yeah, now that you actually mention it, I just didn't recognize the name. Yeah, that's neat. It's very cool, but it's only good if you're already playing. That's the
They
issue.
have like
So
mining, I think.
yeah, that's again, like I was saying before, it's just turning it more into a Cyburst pile rather than a Malice deck.
Yeah.
Which
Okay,
you can go that route. That's fine. But I do not regret dropping Coda Soul and mining. I will say that.
So there's another question from, I think, is your team member, Owen. He's asked if you are the GOAT. Now, I've only recently learnt what this means in my advanced age from my kids. So he isn't a GOAT. But yeah, I would say, especially from the UK, Ben's definitely up there with the best.
Well, to quote Owen himself, I will see you outside, my goat, my love. So there we go.
Lovely. It's always nice when team members get along as well as you two do.
Yeah, you have to, don't you? You have to put it with him.
So the questions that were sent in earlier, there's
Mhm.
5 of them all together. I won't do them in any specific order because I want to get this one out the way first.
Yeah.
The most underrated deck of 2024. Right, so my personal opinion, Infernoble. I absolutely loved it.
Oh
It's
no,
had
that deck can come to bin.
it's had stray hits on every ban list for the past 4 ban lists, starting with you've got his old Baron, now original, and sadly I think last weekend I unsleeved it and put it all in a deck box to just sit behind my monitor somewhere.
Yeah, progress is good. You know what? We should celebrate your progress.
His old 2. There's progress.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. Any just big combo deck where it goes first, it resolves its one card and then it ends on a billion interrupts is just going to be toxic for the game. And while it can be fun to play on your own, but playing against it certainly isn't fun. Most underrated deck though.
While you're thinking on it, I'll go over the one I've got. Ice Barrier. The support actually gave a lot to the deck. And
Yeah, that is
new
really
Lancia is just insane.
The synchro is a bit of a problem. You just cannot deal with it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're good in Snake Eyes because Flamberge just hooks it and then just sort of like slides it back a bit and then you're fine. But most other decks really struggle.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
by the time you get that, they've already got the General Viho, I think it's called, where you have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
discard or it's negated.
No, it's good. For me, most underrated, I've got to say, it's a deck I really enjoy playing. I'll say Trap Tricks.
Trap Tricks. Yeah.
Trap Tricks. I like Trap Tricks. I think that was when I came back to the game. That was the most accessible thing for me to get, so that's what I started with.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what was cool about it. It was a very accessible deck, and there was loads of like weird innovations. There was like a line with Infinite Flame Banshee where you added like a random common which you can special, which was a tuner, which you could alter its level, and then you could make a Baron. Like just,
Oh,
just stupid stuff like that. Yeah, the Agnemol Candle. It was dead funny.
So the last one more question from chat before we go over the rest of these, and then we'll check back at chat. Right. Owen has asked who your favourite teammate is, but before you answer, he has just said he doesn't actually like you. You just keep appearing in his room.
Well, I mean, if I appear in his dreams, that's not my problem, but his. My favorite team member has got to be Dad himself, Daddy Kong, because he pays the bills.
Big Chris.
Yeah, Big Chris.
You've got to show him some love.
Yeah, he does a lot for the especially the singles market as well.
Yeah.
Not the singles market, the single Yu-Gi-Oh card market.
Yeah.
I'm sure if he could find a way to monetize that as well, he probably could.
Yeah, while
You
eating
can
his kebab, cheesy kebabs.
Oh, he does love you. You can find all your hot singles in your local area.
Yeah.
Kong's card.
So the next question that was sent in: should more Omni-Negate type cards be phased out or banned from the game? I think that means generic ones like Baron and Apo, as opposed to like archetype specific ones.
Yeah, I think so, because a lot of decks over the past couple of years, it just devolved into I'll stick an Apple on the board and then continue my play, and it just insulates you from hand traps. It lowers the ability for your opponent to play, rather than trying to navigate through optional interrupts. Like think of Branded; it doesn't have any negates, and ignoring the gimmick locks, which is now going to be an idle lock, no longer gimmick lock, idle lock. All its interruptions are just you can play through them. It's just I don't know. They're not negates. They're just cool interactions that you can navigate around, and you got to deal with them. And then I think that's a much better and healthier way for the game to play.
Yeah, because say there was like a small 6-card engine that you could stick in any deck that would guarantee you ended on a Baron. It'll be in 90% of represented decks, just so your end board would also include a Baron.
Yeah, it's like when Snake Eye were making Savage and Baron.
Yeah.
Savage at
Yeah.
Synchron.
I mean, if you really wanted to negate that bad, you could play a small 10-card engine called Sinful Spoils. You could stick a negate on your end board there.
Yeah. No, good old
Well, Sylvie is fine.
I think in archetype negates.
Absolutely fine.
Because not all of them are an Omni negate. They're a lot like you can put up a spell trap negate or a monster effect negate. I know Sylvie is an Omni negate. She's tributing herself.
Yeah.
It is accessible in a lot of decks, but it works a lot better in its own thing. You can reuse it a lot more.
It's like Phantom, for example. You can't really use that in any deck unless you make a U-Belt engine in it.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that, you just brick in your deck.
Yeah, or you're playing a Fiend pile.
Yeah.
It is good, but it's fine.
Yeah. Next question.
About the reprint strategy.
Yeah, is Konami's newest reprint strategy good or bad for the overall game? I personally love it. I love the fact that new players can get some money together, join the game, and have SP Little Knight, Thrust, generic synchros, generic links. You know, they can get this stuff. Yeah, it's a low rarity. That doesn't matter. They can get into the game, have the right cards at the right level, and then all they have to focus on is learning how to play, learning their deck properly. They don't have to worry about, well, I need to get hold of £80 for this one card. Maybe this isn't the game for me anymore.
Well, the more accessible the game is, the more new players.
Of course, it's great for the game. You'd struggle to find someone that'd say it's bad for the game. The only downside that they made with the reprint strategy this time is they stuck to the tins. If they just didn't do the tins this year and then reprinted all that stuff like they did in Medanza, the only thing that dodged it were things like Typhon and Rollback. I think they were the two big hitters out the tins that haven't been reprinted since.
Yeah.
Other than those two, it was great. It was just the tins that leave a bad taste in people's mouths because they bought the tins to spend, I don't know, whatever, buying a couple of tins from the locals or to buy these cards.
Yeah, is it SP that was in both?
Yeah.
Yeah, SP, which wanted Bonfire. There's quite a lot of crossover.
Yeah, I didn't realise actually how many there were till you started reeling them off then. I knew there was a couple, but they are big ones, especially before Original got banned.
Yeah, so that was it. It was mainly just the tins that put a bad taste in people's mouths, but the rarity collections have been brilliant. It's my favourite sets to open as well. They're really fun to open.
Yeah, you just feel great because every other pack you're getting something absolutely shiny as anything. Yeah, is it usable? For someone, but yeah, I know what you mean about opening them.
Well, even worst case now, it's just great trade fodder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one. Do you think that core sets should get the deck builder set treatment of cards in multiple rarities?
I think so, yeah. So naturally, we've had that in the past with cards that could be upgraded to ultimate rares. We still have
QCRs now.
with cards that, with QCRs. Yeah. But I think having things that are at the secret level be reprinted lower is probably better. That's what people are really dying for.
Yeah.
Then you've also got to think about it from the perspective of the people that actually buy the boxes. So I should say buy the cases. So vendors, stores, is there any incentive for those to buy it? So we still do need those big secret rares.
Yeah.
Like maybe if they could drop them down, and was like, but you could get secret rare and then you can have a high rarity version, but that's not going to be enough incentive for people to actually buy. Because
Yeah.
if people don't buy the boxes because they can't sell the singles because they can't make any money, the only place they're going to buy them are going to be the retail stores or locals, and they're not going to buy as many because they're just trying to sell the packs, and then you'd have to buy a pack to get the cards, and it could make a vicious cycle, which is the thing.
I
So
think-
they could bring it down a little, but they're going about it the right way, I think, with the way they're doing it with Stampede, where Mulchama Fool, a very expensive card. They knew it was going to be expensive. They didn't know how much because Konami don't dictate the secondary market. As much as people think they do. It was just a secret rare in a set like any other with the similar ratios as any other secret.
Yeah.
But it has to be played 3 of them in every deck, so it demanded a very high price tag. They've announced a reprint way ahead of time, which is great for everyone that already has it now because they still get loads of value out of them. That's fine. And then people that were considering getting it, now they can either decide to get it now. They've got at least another 3-4 months before it gets reprinted and still get the value out of it, or they can just wait for the reprint.
Yeah, I agree completely. I do hope that they do kind of stick to this whole, not necessarily calling it a rarity collection, because I know that that's mainly for the QCR Bonanza thing, but they do keep up with that kind of thing on a yearly rotation.
Yeah, I think rarity sets should replace the tins, to be honest, because the tins are a bit outdated now.
A question from chat. This involves both Jordans as well. This isn't Yu-Gi-Oh related. He's asking if Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I'll answer this for everyone. If you go on Disney Plus and go in the Christmas movie section, it's in the top 5 currently. So yes, it's a Christmas movie. Disney have said so themselves.
Yeah, Disney have the most money. Well, one of the most monies in the world. They can say what they like, and it must be
Film's
true.
about family at the end of the day.
Can you shout out my friend? Nope, we can't do that. Thanks, so Jake.
Pearly. I can shout out my friend Pearly.
No, this is Jake asking for a different kind of shout out.
I see.
Oh.
Yeah.
Someone did have a take-in chat about the reprint strategy.
What's that one?
Their issue with it is that on the subsequent ban lists, certain cards have been hit quite heavily, such as Apollosa, Baron, Borrowload. So do you think that aspect of it is a bit predatory?
It would have been if they hadn't just been reprinted in a rarity set. So I suppose when they got reprinted in rarity 1, and Barons, they were like, what, maybe a $5 if that? You not as down bad about spending a $5 on it, or like as hurt by spending a $5 on it as you would if you spent, say, I don't know, 80 as it was before for the Barons, before it got reprinted. So well, it is a bit rough because you only get a little bit of time to use it. It's better than having just spent a lot of money for it to get banned. And you could see a mile off these cards were getting banned, to be fair. Same with the original. That's kind of a small issue I have with people complaining about the original ban and how they've only just been able to play Snake Eyes because it was in the tins.
Yeah.
But we could see it a mile off. You should know.
I-
He's been complaining about it for the past year.
We thought it was going to be original or flamberge on the last one, but with Sylvie and that engine coming out, we could see how they were going to like give it one last big hurrah before they did start hitting the deck a lot harder than they were originally.
If they banned flamberge, the deck wouldn't change. It'd still be one of the best decks now.
It'll be an engine.
I wasn't even using flamberge. I was using neither of its effects. It just sat there on my end board.
Yeah.
The only time I'd use its effects would be to push like their hand trap into the back row, so I couldn't get hit by lightning storms or even or that sort of thing against like Tempai and stuff. So
that comment can pivot into the last question that was sent in. What's one card that should be addressed or adjusted on the ban list? Either unbanned, unlimited, B banned or B limited. Have you got any strong thoughts on that?
Shifter, just get it gone. It's not good for the game. As a Malice player, I'll say that.
Yeah.
I know, it's good for Canahawk.
It's just, I don't know. It's not one of those cards that it can be a little bit skill expressive. Like the idea was you don't just shotgun it if you're against Snake Eye. You just wait for them to play the Azamina card and you play it there. So the resources, like cool, but it's too oppressive. Lasting for 2 turns is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ask Ben when he's going to win another Nationals. I think he's aiming a bit higher now. He's already got his Nationals, I think, with the YCS coming up. He's got new goals in mind.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd still like to win. I'm not gonna lie.
Has the UK had a 2-time champion before?
No one's won
No.
UK Nats more than once.
Yeah.
The closest anyone got was Tom Payne, who won and then got to the finals the year after.
Yeah. Another question for Ben. With the new Mulch Army for the Graveyard and Banish coming out, do you feel it's going to be as game-changing as the current?
No, I don't believe so. So at first I was thinking we just main 3 Fulos and side 2 Perulia and 2 Meowls, but now I'm not even siding Perulia. As good as it is, can be against Ryziel, it's just not worth the space for now. It's obviously still really cool, but the fact that you usually have to play it straight away as your first action during your opponent's turn, it gives them the opportunity to play around it. Whereas Fulos, you can wait for them to normal summon Ice Ryziel for Activate Requiem, so you're always getting that advantage back off it. It could, if Malice becomes a lot more dominant, which isn't the trend. Currently, the tops are Ryziel about twice as many as Malice over all of the regionals and stuff. So, but if that does change and Malice becomes more dominant, then we could potentially see Meows in the side deck.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I was looking over it, and I think you get about, if they full combo Malice player, you get about as many off Meows as you do off Fulos. So against Malice specifically, it is interchangeable. But against other decks, then yeah, it's not that great.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to side a hand trap from Mars, there's only really one real option, and that's Lancia.
Yeah, Lancia's great. I had a brilliant Lancia moment on Thursday at my locals. Playing a mirror match, I Lancia them. They call by, and then I chain my bestial, target my Lancia, and it was beautiful.
So some questions from Discord are coming through now. Let's just read this one first. So that's the one, yeah. Just got asked, what's a good way to get into Yu-Gi-Oh currently? Any recommendations on decks for new players to get started with? I personally would say look at the decks where pre-built decks off the shelf that work. If you buy 2 or 3 copies of them, you can put them together. You'll have a decent amount of hand traps. Something like the Trap Tricks.
I was
deck.
literally about to say,
Yeah.
you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, you could build a deck you can compete with at a locals level with just picking up 3 Trap Tricks decks. Everything that you need to add to it is in the rarity collections as well. Yeah.
It's a great time to come into the game. We've also got the Blue Eye structure deck coming soon, and that is really powerful.
That's just been pushed back though, hasn't it? Because Drew was going to try and play that for the YCS.
Yeah,
14th of February now.
Yeah.
We get Blue Eyes for Valentine's.
Lovely.
We'll ignore the elephant in the room of Magia for that one though.
Yeah, I still think that's going to be reprinted in Maze of the Master.
It'd be nice, yeah.
I think it'll be just a collector's rare only though.
It could be, yeah.
Going back to the balance discussion from earlier though, I want Kit Carlos back so bad. And I know Drew wants Branded Expulsion back.
Alright, I'll trade
I
you.
don't really agree with that.
But I'm not allowed to want his old back.
I said you can have it.
Right, I'll offer you a trade. I'll offer you a trade offer for your tier cards. You can have Kit Close back if you ban Suliek and Kaleido Heart. That's your trade on that one.
Oh, that's interesting. See, I don't know if I'll immediately agree to that, but the things I would do to get Kit Carlos back are a bit silly.
Do I still get his old back as a chuck-in on this trade?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's locked. He's been melted.
I know that Luke wants that back just as badly as I do. But yeah, sadly, I do think her days are over.
You know what I like Fishbog Blaster back. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, we're getting a few coming up as well. Meow Meow.
No, that can stay banned.
Scarecrow.
That's for the Super Heavy Samurai.
No, Super Heavy can stay. I want Mermaid. Mermaid will be funny.
We were talking about that earlier, weren't we? With the Orca stuff coming out.
Just bring out Ghibli and then give it to them, and it'd be really fun.
Yeah. Here's a new Link one, but here's another Link one to carry on with as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think, to be honest, Nightmare Goblin into Mermaid is fine.
That's a good trade.
The way Fiendsmith is.
That's a good trade.
Goblin should stay banned. Goblin's too broken.
You can have Kit back if we can have a Rise Heart back.
Fine. I don't like a Rise Heart, but I think it at 1 is not.
You know what? A Rise Heart is fine if shift, like, why we have Shifter but no Rise Heart? That's crazy to me.
Yeah. A Rise Heart was gatekeeping a lot of decks at the time he was there. That's my opinion on him.
Fenrir's best thing now is to make a Tenpai player work. Or like you can even play it in Malice. You go Fenrir into Rise Heart, make Draco Sack, make Cherubini dump your mouse, make your lizard.
Another Meow. Owen wants Meow back. Darcy wants Soul Charge.
Oh no, you can't.
Jake wants Block Dragon.
Nope. Why?
Deep Sea King.
Deep Sea King.
Fishborg with Deep Sea King.
Oh yeah, yeah. It'd
Beans
be really good. It'd be busted, but it'd be fun.
Yeah.
So who wants to play Crystal Beast Kashtira?
Crystal Beast Kashtira again. That means they've previously played it.
Sounds like an interesting combination.
Yeah.
No,
So
in reality though, a lot of these cards like Miamu can come back. I think they're just waiting.
for anyone else that's just recently joined, we again the box giveaway. Do you want to go over that again quickly?
Yeah. So just make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Due to some technical issues, we're not going to be able to do it at the end of the stream. But if people are happy, just wait around a little bit. We will find out the winner within 24 hours.
Yeah. So again, thanks for everyone for putting up with the way that it has kind of gone. We did have it a bit more structured, but we did have someone drop out sadly. Thankfully, Ben agreed to sit through the entire thing with us and answer everyone's questions, give us a lot of feedback on his experiences. If anyone's got any more questions and want to put them in chat, I'm just going to ask Ben about back when he won nationals with Mermail and if he can say anything about back in the day. That's literally just as I stopped playing. As a deck came out that I thought, oh, looks really enjoyable. I stopped playing, but now I've got someone on who's probably got more experience with anyone with it.
Yeah.
So back in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at that point, Mermail it premiered about a year before. It did also win the previous nationals as well. But I was playing obviously a different variant because we had to go through Dragon Ruler format in that time. So my build was very weird. I played 2 Abyssphere, which was crazy back then to not play 3. It's a trap card, you know. But the deck was really cool because it's similar to how I play now, where it has answers to everything. I played Fishborg Archer because it let you discard your Atlantean straight away to summon it back, and then you could deal with the problem, pop a face-up card, a face-down card. Played Beals because it gives you your Giants controller like utility rather than just being dead in your hand. Allure was cool for the Giants controller, but it's kind of cope because if you don't see the Undyne or your Pike gets failed or something, you have a bad time. And then I also played Dragon Ice, which was like just no one played it, but it was very cool. Actually, they won the top 4 for me. Against Infernity, is popping off. He summons Necromancer. I just summoned Dragon Ice from hand, discard infantry. Pop his Necromancer. He was having a bad time.
Oh, Infernity. I remember going to a regional when that had just come out, and they had to get 5 or 6 extra judges to just walk around and make sure people weren't setting cards that shouldn't be being set, so they have no cards in hand.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So yeah, you MSD'd me. You win.
Yeah.
Look up your cards.
What was it? Oh, it don't matter. It doesn't matter.
I scooped before the MSD resolved, mate.
Ben opened Royal Decree and won.
Well, right. The decree I opened got MST'd. I drew another one, but yeah, my opponent in the finals had Master Key Beetle and Emptiness.
That's just skillful deck building.
Yeah,
You know?
it was actually a really funny story. So I should have been siding 3 decrees, but I didn't own 3 TP4 decrees, so I sided 1 Wiretap instead.
And all cards need to match in a deck. I wish more people would be on that philosophy. If
no, I didn't
don't
care
match.
I just wanted it to be the max rarity.
Oh, no. All my OCD. All cards needs to match.
Yeah, so my opponent had a Master Key Beetle and Vanity's Emptiness. Obviously, the Key Beetle protecting the Emptiness, so it's a pretty strong board. I have a set Lind, and I'm just set a Decree, pass. He goes Battle Phase, attack. I flip Decree on the attack. Lind goes to grave. I summon Megalo. He's on 800 life. I just go swing for game. And yeah, and that was that. Decree did win, yeah.
Well, like Ben Vinci said, it's just good deck building. You built for consistency and it worked.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much everything that we wanted to discuss today. Again, Ben, thank you for coming, and remember to check out his YouTube channel, Pulsar Games, where he has put a deck profile up with a small combo tutorial at the end.
I do actually have one last question for Ben.
Sure.
With the Fiends with Malice, you have done a mild combo for us. Are you going to put more videos on your channel with it?
I'd like to, yeah. I'm very inconsistent with my uploads, which is amazing. I'd like to put more up. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So I put a tutorial up, and then I don't really feel the need to put another one up because if there is another combo, it's going to be fairly similar. So you can just branch it out. People can figure that out on their own. It's like people asking for spreadsheets. If you've seen one combo, you can figure most of the rest out yourself. Like,
Yeah.
you really don't need to buy a spreadsheet.
Well, I mean, I don't think anyone should be buying a spreadsheet.
No, all the information is there on YouTube. If you really don't have the time, then I can see why people buy it, because it's just people paying for someone else's time to gather all the information. But
Yeah.
if you have a bit more time, if you can spend even just a day or half a day, a few hours just browsing online, figuring out different combos that people are doing, and then you can build it up for yourself from there.
So like you said, once you've seen the main 2 or 3 combos and the end board you're kind of aiming for, if you get used to them, you can do all the variants of the combo. Oh, well, if I start with these 2 cards instead, I can kind of bridge into this and get to the same point. Yeah.
Well, it's like when I copied Ben's list and sent you that sample combo I made up on the spot.
Yeah. I've seen your combo that you sent on the spot. We'll discuss that later. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very much a proponent of people just figuring out their own combos, playing it by ear every time. It's like when I first picked up the deck, I didn't want to look at any combo videos. I didn't want to look at anything. I wanted to see where I could go, how far I could go on my own, just playing with the cards. Because as soon as you see one combo, your brain is just automatically always going to try and just lock on back into that one combo. So you're just going to get stuck, because each time you're going to always try to go for that one, but it's not always right. So you might open up something new, you might figure something out. Just always just play with the cards and see what you can do.
Last one question. Jake's asked, have you seen Pack's Malice list? I think it's a striker list. And what are your thoughts on him not playing Ash Blossom at all?
I've seen the striker list. Yeah, it's very good. Obviously, Pack's an incredible duelist and deck builder. The reason for his Ash in there is different from the reason why I play Ash. So he doesn't need Ash because he's just going to break the board. He doesn't want to play into Thrust. He doesn't want to play into Talents. He's just going to let them do what he's going to do, and then he's going to break the board throughout. My reason for playing Ash is I want to counter things like Fool Loss when I go in first. And then I can also add it back off Firewall Dragon, which is, I've done it a couple of times. You Ash Fool Loss, add it back off Firewall, you got it for the next turn. It gives me something to draw off the Mulchami Fool Loss that I'm playing, along with Imperm and the Bestials.
Yeah.
If I wasn't playing any hand traps at all, then that's fine. Like in the White Forest decks I used to play, I just played Breakers, no hand traps. I just played Dark Rulers, Droplets, and Bestials for extenders.
Yeah.
Can't really argue with that.
So I think that's everything that we wanted to talk about. Thanks so much for your time, Ben. A few shout outs before we go. Again, we've got Gecko Cat.
Yeah, I think their audio might have cut out there, but that's fine. So they were talking about Gecko cards, which you can use code Orion5 to get yourself 5% off on all the accessories, sleeves, binders, that sort of thing. And if you want to use those sleeves and binders for the pretty cards, you can go to kongscards.co.uk and use code TPKONG5 for 5% off. He does all pre-orders and everything like that for the new cards. And then obviously, again, Gecko cards to sleeves those cards. Around 5% off.
Yeah, sorry, my mic cut out then.
Yeah,
the dog walked past and unplugged it. Did you go over where to get your spicy singles from?
Yeah, I'll go over it again though. Kong's cards. Yeah. He's currently got a Bonanza sale up. He's just restocked it. It does go down on the 24th till the 26th because he's taking Christmas off. Fair enough. But it'll be back up on the 27th. So that's kongscards.co.uk. Use code TEAMKONG5 all caps for 5% off. I'm sure there might be links in the description, or we can figure something out. And it's not hard to find the code. I'm very vocal about it.
I think your username in one of the chats is Kong5. Team
Kong5. Yeah, all the group chats I'm in, I just changed my username, Team Kong5.
Yeah. So I know Drew is going to put the links to everything underneath the video when it goes and gets uploaded. That'll be your YouTube as well.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we'll see you on here again at some point with another 100 questions for you. Well, thank you for your time.
I'd like to come back on. It's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been great having you. Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll hopefully see you at some more events in the future.
Flexing his shiny cardboard.
Yeah, I do like the shiny cardboard. We need to set up a grudge match. Well, not really a grudge match, but a friendly exhibition between Team Orion and Team Kong. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Might be able to do it at YCS Birmingham.
Yeah, sounds like a great idea.
I think we're going down on
the Thursday.
Yeah. So we'll see what can be put together.
Yeah. Drew can bring his setup and we can film some games.
Yeah. I've thrown up a couple of Malice mirror matches though.
Yeah.
Like 3 of our team are on it.
Yeah. and we will call it there. Thanks everyone for coming and joining and watching. Thanks for all your questions. Hopefully we'll see you all next time. Look out for the announcement for the winner box winner as well.
And in case you haven't already, this is your final chance to like, comment, and subscribe.
And that'll get you entered for the box giveaway.
Yeah, one last time, thank you so much, Ben. Well done on your regional one, and good luck
Thank
for the
you.
future.
We'll see you all later.